your city. We're gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat as we start another week off. Hope your weekend was great. Jim Coyle sitting with you as always on this January 14th, 2019. Justin Kalen high atop the Crew Chiefs box.
That's right.
Plenty to get to today, of course, as we start off here on this Monday. Don Fisher's on the program. As always, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers. We'll talk about Indiana, of course, as they're coming off that defeat on the road at Maryland, and they take on Nebraska tonight. They're back at it. Drew Davis on the program as well. Plenty to talk about recruiting. We'll talk about Mr. Keon Brooks a little bit. Sammy Jacobs will be along. We got plenty to talk about there, and our good friend John Bull from Wave 3 will join us as well, as always. Before we get there, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines for this Monday, January 14th, 2019. As Jim mentioned, Indiana drops their game at Maryland on Friday night, 78-75. They host Nebraska tonight at 6:30 on Fox Sports 1. Decent weekend of NFL football as the championship rounds are set. The Saints will host the Rams on the NFC side, while the Chiefs will host the Patriots in the NFC. Indiana women with a big win yesterday, 75-68 at Wisconsin. Those are your headlines for this Monday, January 14th, 2019.
And welcome back. As I said, big show today. Don Fisher will be along. Lots of that to get to in the next hour. This hour, we'll talk to Drew Davis and Sammy Jacobs both as catch up on the recruiting news. And Keon Brooks has got to be getting close. Weekend visits over the weekend. Both Archie Miller from Indiana and Calipari from that school down the road in the south was there as well, visiting. I'd say that I'd be shocked if this goes another week.
Definitely not two.
I don't know that it goes a week, to be honest with you. But that's where we are there. Hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Hit us up on, let us know what you're thinking. Thoughts, questions, comments. Questions for any of the guests coming up on the show today as well. Again, that's 812-269-6367. Hit us up on the text line. Let us know what you're thinking. Indiana on the road over the weekend is Friday night. They were at Maryland, a game that we knew was going to be tough. But the funny thing is, their issues. What are their issues? Oh, you get off to bad starts. Hey, they had a 14-point lead in the first half. They can't hit free throws. They were perfect. They didn't turn the ball over. They only had 7 turnovers again. But they got destroyed. Not destroyed, but pretty much.
Down low, they got destroyed.
From a rebounding standpoint, they got absolutely eviscerated. 18 offensive rebounds for Maryland versus 3 for Indiana. Ball game. Second chance, shots right there. Indiana, great effort. You cannot fault the effort. Again, 7 turnovers. Back-to-back games now with 7 turnovers. They were perfect at the free throw line. But again, for the last several games, you've only got a couple of guys that are shooting free throws. And if I don't have the stats, I need to get them pulled up. But if I recall correctly, only 2 guys took free throws in the whole game for Indiana. Romeo and maybe Devontae Green. They were perfect, I think.
Yep.
7 and 7 and 5 of 5, if I remember.
You had Finney shot 2. He was 2 of 2.
I forgot. Yes, the only 2 bench points Indiana was able to manage, and those came very late on 2 free throws. They're getting problems solved. That's a good thing. So there's a lot of positives as Indiana goes forward. They are eradicating problems as they go. Are they perfect? No. But, of course, they're doing this against very good teams. They're not losing to substandard programs. Losing on the road to Maryland, they were underdogs, so they were supposed to lose. Or expected to lose, I guess I should say. But they beat the spread. They're keeping these games closer. They were within 3 points of that game. They've got to get production from other people. And I'm not saying something that everybody in the world doesn't know. Archie Miller knows. Archie Miller's frustrated. He's frustrated that he can't bring in a Fitzner and get anything out of him. And
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Well, it's not just him. I'm not pointing out Evan Fitzner. He's not getting anything. But he's also talked about they have to try something different. I think you're going to see Jake Forrester tonight. I think you're going to see Clifton Moore tonight. I think you're going to see Demezy Anderson tonight. I think you're going to see some guys.
Rob Finney slide back into the starting lineup tonight?
Probably, but I don't know. I'm not there to know where he is as far as catching his breath.
He didn't look too bad the other night. He didn't look like normal Rob Finney, but
I think that he could step in and start, and it would be no problem.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't. It's not like he was gone for 6 months. He was riding a stationary bike.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's a kid. He'll be fine. So I think he should. He needs to get in there. Indiana, they need it. So we'll see. We will certainly see. But how about the women's team? Man, that's another Big Ten win. That was on the road, I believe.
it was, yeah.
So on the road at Wisconsin, a Big Ten road win for the women. Hey, take your hat off to them. They're 15-2 now. Not a bad start to their season. Look down at they had at least 4 players in double figures yesterday. Royster with 15. Jalen Penn, sophomore out of Louisville, leading Indiana with 21 points. Allie Padberg from Columbus North chipped in 15. Bree Wise, 13. They're getting good, balanced scoring from that team. That's one of the reasons they're successful. They've got good, balanced players.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. If you want to compare these two teams, the men's and the women's team, the men could use a little what the women have, balanced scoring. They're getting it from all over, which is something we've talked about a lot. That third guy for Indiana, who's going to be the third scorer? I mean, most teams, you wonder who the fourth scorer is going to be because it's kind of set up. Indiana's not so much. It's the big two, and
Whoever else wants to chip in.
still searching for that third option, which, again, the injuries have played an unbelievable key part in that. Rob Finney's pretty much looking like he was the third guy, third option. Of course, his injury kind of derailed that a little bit. He's back. How about the Colts? They're out. Done. Finito.
Poor showing.
Terrible. All the way around. Right down to Mr. Reliable. Kicking. Vinatieri, man. Missed the shortest field goal of his career in the playoffs.
Dude's 46. That's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Been playing for over 20 years, and he missed the shortest field goal of his career.
And the worst thing is, it doinked. It was a doink. Hit the upright.
Knocked all the snow off. See that? That was pretty cool.
I did not.
As soon as it hit the upright, a bunch of snow fell. It was pretty neat.
Well, it was neat if you were not a Colts fan.
True.
As the Chiefs put it on them. Look like they are for real. Patrick Mahomes and that squad, son, they just fired on all cylinders, as were the Patriots in their game. They just kind of ran roughshod.
How good is Patrick Mahomes?
He's pretty good.
He's crazy.
He
pulls out that sidearm pass when he's in trouble.
probably the best quarterback in the NFL
Maybe.
right now.
Yeah.
Because of his ability. He's got crazy abilities. I shouldn't say that. You can't. That's a term that people throw around easily. But his abilities right now are such that he can do crazy things. He's rolling out, stops, sees something, stops, throws a ball sidearm to get it through a window. I saw him do that a couple of times.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's not the first time he's done that this season.
No. I mean, see, to me, not just the ability to make that adjustment, but to make the play. That is pretty incredible.
It's fun to watch.
Well, it ought to be real fun next week. You should have a couple of really, really good games, and you've got you've got the Rams and the Saints. That's some high-scoring offense right there. That's some high-octane offense. Where is that game going to be played? In the Superdome?
That will be the Saints host that one.
Yeah.
They're the ones.
Right. So, Gator sausage for my Rams. My favorite thing I've ever eaten. Me and my buddy Kyle.
Gator sausage?
Gator sausage at the Superdome. It's delicious. I think I had 3 of them.
I like Gator, but I've never had a Gator sausage.
$24 worth of Gator sausages. They're like a big hot dog. They're good. I tried to find them when we got back. Couldn't find them. I was going to order them. We were going to order them. They were delicious. But, yeah, that's going to be an exciting high-octane show. Drew Brees and the Saints and the Rams, that offense. Then you got Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs hosting Tom Brady and the Patriots, Bill Belichick. Man, that ought to be fun.
Yeah.
Those ought to be 2 really, really good games.
At this point, it's almost like who cares who's in the Super Bowl? It's going to be a good Super Bowl. Granted, I'd rather see the Chiefs than the Patriots, but...
Well, you get to see that.
Well, in the Super Bowl.
Why? See, why does it matter if it's in the Super Bowl? It's the game before.
It's almost like the college football mentality for me. I'm so tired of seeing Alabama and Clemson. Same thing with the NFL. I'm tired of seeing the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Okay, then you just said you'd rather see the Patriots and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
No, I'd rather see the Chiefs than the Patriots. In the Super Bowl. They both can't go.
Oh, absolutely. I'd rather that would be. I'd like to see we saw it once already. The Chiefs and the Rams. You want to see a rematch?
I want a rematch of that, yeah, for sure.
That could be good.
Was it 52-50?
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up.
Or Chiefs and the Saints.
Either way, I'm happy.
I think either one of those matchups are going to be pretty good. Hey, we've got a big show today, like I said. Don Fisher's on the program. Drew Davis from Peaks.com will be along. Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle. We got a lot to talk about. Thanks a lot for joining us. Hope your day's off to a good start. We're back with more on Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
Days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday.
This is Jim Boyle, and I'm out on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this 14th day of January. Thanks a lot for joining us. Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle joins us now. Last week it came up that, Sammy, how are you, by the way?
I'm doing fantastic.
How was your weekend?
A little bit snowy, but, you know, the TV was still on, and we got to watch some football, and it was nice.
What'd you guys end up getting? How much snow?
Around 8 inches.
Wow. You guys got it up. Ooh. That's just funny. Just a difference, just a little bit of difference in elevation and northernness, and got it, man. We, Southern Indiana got maybe 3 inches, which is exactly what they were expecting.
Well, they were expecting 6 to 10, so it's right in the middle, but as somebody who spent two winters in Buffalo, the localized snow totals, it really is amazing. You could live, half a mile. We could live half a mile away from each other, and I could get 2 feet of snow, and you could get 6 inches of snow. So kind of a little bit used to the thicker snow bands coming off the lake.
Yeah, that always gets you. Well, it's always wild. But then, and it starts, but we can't complain. It's been pretty mild thus far this year, so no complaints there. Notre Dame wants to add a 13th game in lieu of not having that 13th game that a lot of other people get if they play in the conference championship. And I say baloney to that. I say join a conference if you want a conference championship game. But that's something that came out, and that's definitely a wrinkle to throw in.
Yeah, it's I put this argument into something that shouldn't happen versus something that's never going to happen. I don't think they're ever going to allow Notre Dame to play a 13th game unless everybody else is allowed to play a 13th game. And I don't think Notre Dame's ever going to join a conference. It just makes no sense to them. They are a national brand. This is how they built Notre Dame football, is by playing on the West Coast, in New York City, in the South, in Texas. So they're a national brand because of that, and they have some great rivalries. It's not Notre Dame's fault that USC stunk and Florida State stunk and Stanford was Stanford was a top 10 team when Notre Dame played them. So they played Stanford, Virginia Tech, USC, Florida State, and then they ended up playing Syracuse, who's a top 15 team. They ended up blowing out West Virginia in their bowl game. So I think Notre Dame's schedule outside of that 13th data point is fine. And then they play 5 ACC teams per their contract. I don't think they need to join a conference. I don't think they have any interest in joining a conference. But if they're going to play a 13th game, everybody has to play a 13th game because it's not fair. Just from a money standpoint, and you're right. If you want that 13th game, you want to play a conference championship game, join a conference. Otherwise, you're going to have to stick with 12 and hope your seat on the committee holds true. But other than that, I have no problem with Notre Dame not being in the conference.
Oh, I don't care if they're not in one. If they don't want to, that's fine. I think I think that model used to work for them. And it only will going forward, I think, if they do join a conference. Because I don't see they're not going to expand the playoff to 8 teams anytime soon, I don't think. Even though there was a bunch of uproar. I don't know that happens from what I'm reading. And after they laid that big egg that they laid this year, there was a lot of people suspect, me included. I never thought that they deserved to be in that top 4 this season. They just didn't show it to me. I know that they were undefeated, but I didn't think that they really they just didn't do it for me this year. And which doesn't mean anything, because I'm no one, but I think that they hurt themselves by the showing that they gave, because there was already people that didn't think that they should have been there to begin with.
I mean, did Alabama deserve to be there? Because they got shellacked by the same Clemson team. This is a year where it could have been a 2-team playoff, and it would have been fair.
Right.
I think, Notre Dame, the score wasn't indicative of how great of a season, but Clemson was pretty freaking good.
Oh, they are. There's no doubt about that.
And we saw that, and I think Notre Dame deserved to be in. They played a schedule that was equal to or harder than Clemson, and they went undefeated. And, Georgia had their chance at Alabama and lost. And, Ohio State, you can't lose by 29. And they didn't look that impressive in the second half of their bowl game.
And, in hindsight, looking back, Ohio State's loss to Purdue on a weekend where they were jacked up. Tyler Trent was there. That loss doesn't look as bad now when you got Notre Dame losing by getting destroyed in the college football playoffs. Then you have Alabama getting destroyed in the college football playoffs. How much worse is the loss that Ohio State took? I know it's to a different team, but it was just one of those days where everything seemed to go right for Purdue and things weren't going right for Ohio State.
Yeah, but that didn't happen to, Notre Dame played a whole bunch of 6-6 teams too, and that didn't happen to them. They didn't get blown off the field. Georgia lost to a 3-loss LSU team by 20 points. And I'll go it again. You had a 14-point second-half lead on Alabama, and they choked it away.
Yeah, there's no perfect. I think there's no perfect remedy, but since odds are that they're not going to increase to 8 teams now, from what I've seen, until that contract runs out. That contract that they currently have runs for a while.
Yeah, I think until until something hits them in the pocketbook, they're not.
Well, the Big Ten's getting hit in the pocketbook.
Yeah, that's hit them in the pocketbook. Ratings will have to be way down. They're getting, how many billions of dollars to do this playoff. So until somebody loses some money, it's not going to change. Because then, let's say you increase it to 8 or 6, there's still going to be arguments about teams 7 and 8 or 9 and 10. If you're doing the 4 best, just take the recruiting rankings then. And just play your 4 best. Because if Alabama lost 2 games this year, are you going to tell me that people still don't think that they're one of the 4 best teams in the country?
Right. What about money-wise? Is Notre Dame making more money off their contract with NBC than they could, per se, with their contract, say, if they were in the Big Ten?
Maybe. I mean, they're making, I think, $15 million a year when they redid that contract with the NBC.
Okay, that's a third of what they would get in the Big Ten, though.
Oh, it's way less, but I don't know what they're getting from games that move to ESPN.
But it cannot it can't compare to what the money that the Big Ten teams are making. It can't compare.
No, but what can't compare for Notre Dame is that they have a seat at the table all to themselves. Their athletic director or president or whatever is at the college football playoff table, whereas, if you join a conference, you're not solely recognized. And how much is that worth to you? Plus, when you go to these games, you don't have to split your revenue with anybody.
Right,
So
but even then, you still are not making as much money as you would if you were in the Big Ten. Even with all those
Correct.
positives, they're not making the money. And they have a seat per se, but they've only made it once. And the time that they've made it, it was a bad loss. And I think it's going to leave a bad taste in people's mouths. And the next time that they're close like that, I think it's going to affect them. I think that people are going to say, no, I saw this show before. And I do. I think being in a conference, especially like the Big Ten Conference, gives you a lot more legitimacy. Not that Notre Dame needs legitimacy, but I don't know. I think that at some point they're going to have to join a conference. The rest of their teams are in conferences basically already. The only one that's not is the football team.
Yeah, I disagree with the football team. I don't think until they lose their seat at the table, they don't have to do anything. I mean, look, the Big Ten hasn't scored a point in the college football playoff, I think, since like 2014. And like 2 of those years they haven't been in it. So do you have a better chance as a Notre Dame independent of getting in? Or, as you said, the recent performances by the Big Ten in the college football playoff have been awful. It was 31-0 Clemson over Ohio State. You had Alabama boat race Michigan State that one year, and it hasn't been the same. And the Big Ten got their non-conference champion in, and they got smacked. And then, there's pros and cons to both. And Notre Dame is not hurting for money, so they don't need to join a conference because they're broke. They're going to keep doing what they do until they start losing money, just like everything else in college sports. And that's just what's going to happen. And if people want them to join a conference, have fun barking at a ghost. It's not that.
Newt Rockne, the ghost of Newt Rockne.
I mean, look, they're not going to give up the playing USC every year. They're not going to give up. That Navy game's not going anywhere.
But they don't have to. See, they can keep those traditional games to me and still play. They're playing a 5-game ACC schedule. So what's the difference between playing Big Ten teams? They're still going to have opportunity to play USC, to play Army or Navy. They can still schedule non-conference games.
Yeah, but there's only 3 of them.
But
if you join 10, they're playing 9 conference games for now until Delaney wakes up and realizes that's a mistake.
Right.
But you're only you're playing 9 conference games, which gives you 3 non-conference schedules. Are you going to, are you going to have to choose between playing that? Now, it depends what conference, which division they go in the Big Ten. Let's say they go to the West. If Michigan comes calling wants to play a non-conference game, you're going to turn them down? You're going to turn down a potential series with Michigan to go play Illinois every year? Doing a conference, there's crap teams in every conference. It's just a fact of life. And whether you're playing 5 ACC teams and the 5 you happen to play that one year are, Wake Forest and who else ever is at the bottom, UNC this year, whoever's at the bottom of the ACC, you can't predict how good they're going to be in 5-10 years.
I understand that, but odds are that the teams in the Big Ten are going to be 2 things. They're probably going to be better than the bottom of the ACC, but they're going to be regionally better for Notre Dame, more regionally interesting from a fan standpoint. There's natural rivals there as opposed to Notre Dame playing not Boston College, but somebody out of the ACC that just there's no relationship there.
And Notre Dame, Boston College is one of the great rivalries in college football.
Right, that's why I stopped saying Boston College as soon as it almost came out.
But you only have 3 non-conference games. And, they'll develop rivalries with the 5 ACC teams. Now, I think it was a mistake for them to play those 5 ACC games because you lost the rivalry with Michigan. You lost the rivalry with Purdue. Notre Dame's not a regional team, though. That's the problem. They're a national team. They play out west. They have rivalries out west with Stanford and USC. They, play Texas. They'll play on the East Coast, play Boston College. They'll play Miami, Florida State. I would say that those are, could be rivalries as well. You have Catholics versus convicts. It goes back to, the late 80s, early 90s, and all those things. So I think it would be a mistake for Notre Dame football to join a conference. Now, should that hurt their other sports? You can't take it out on athletes, but if it hurts their college football playoff standings, I don't see them. Like I said at the beginning, it shouldn't happen versus it's not going to happen.
We'll certainly find out. Probably not. Nothing new on the offensive coordinator front that I'm aware of either for Indiana. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, they're still interviewing people, and we'll see. I'm not antsy, but it's like, okay. I mean, they're not messing around. Is the most important part. So, I trust them to do their job and get the best person for the job. So they're not messing around is my message to the IU fans. And just sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of basketball season.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on right now in the world of college football coaches carousel. It's just moving all over the place. A lot of fast-moving parts. Sammy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Look forward to talking again on Friday. Maybe we'll have some news about that offensive coordinator position.
That would be nice. Thanks for having me on, Jim.
You bet, buddy. Have a great day. Sammy Jacobs from HoosierHuddle.com. Please check out his content, free content there. We've got a lot more coming up here on the show today. Drew Davis is with us next. We're going to talk about some recruiting action for Indiana. Keon Brooks, is he getting closer or not? We're back with more on Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
This is Jim Boyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural. You must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beats as we start your week off, hopefully with a good day. Got our good friend Drew Davis from Peaks.com stepping in with us now. Drew, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good. How about yours?
Not too busy. Not a lot going on. Just watched a lot of games from the inside. No traveling this weekend. Were you a busy guy on the road watching some hoops?
It was more of the same what you did with the snow, just watching games, and since it was kind of annoying to get out on Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of noise in regards to Keon Brooks. Obviously, he had some visitors at home over the weekend with John Calipari visit, and of course Indiana's Archie Miller, both with in-home visits of Keon Brooks. So it looks like that situation is getting closer and closer to a head.
Yeah, and that's a telltale sign of a recruitment is starting to come to an end, is when you start to see all these college coaches show up and start to use their visits. A lot of times coaches will sit back and they know they can't take their visits with them when the recruitment's over, and when they get a sense that it's starting to come to an end, they'll start to use their visits, and you see that yesterday. And I thought I wouldn't be surprised if some of his other schools take a visit to Waterloo or Fort Wayne in the next couple of days, and I think this recruitment's definitely coming to the home stretch, and maybe a couple more weeks we'll probably have a good idea on where Keon's going to school.
Do you think it's going to be that long? I thought that there's a possibility we could see something within a week.
Obviously, I think anything can happen within the next couple of weeks, but it all just depends on how far they came over the weekend with their discussions, and how comfortable they are. But it's also worth noting that Keon will be heading up to Springfield, Massachusetts for a game on Monday against they play DeMatha Catholic on ESPNU. So he's got to head up there for that. So if he wants to wait and he doesn't feel comfortable making his decision now, then there may be a little bit of a delay because they have to make that trip up there.
Yeah, just a lot going on for everybody. Of course, it's a busy time of the season for everyone involved, coaches, players, everybody. And to me now, it's like it doesn't really matter, because before you're going like, well, you think that they'd like to get out of the way before the season. Then once the season starts, it's like, well, does it really matter at this point? Because now you're playing games, they're playing games. There doesn't seem to be a huge rush other than just people wanting to know.
Right, and like you said, there's no real benefit to rushing your decision now at this point, because even if Keon Brooks wanted to make his decision now, he wouldn't really get anything out of it, because he still can't even sign. So I mean, even if he does commit, he will have to wait to sign until the spring. But I don't think that's as big of a deal as just the fact that Keon is still working through some things and still trying to decide.
Yeah, and actually the only one that's at a disadvantage are the teams, because whoever the loser is has to go out and fill that spot, and the longer that goes, if you've got other players, other suitors on the line, are they saying, well, I'm second choice for those guys, so I'm going to go someplace else. So those teams, not Indiana per se, but and not either of these teams, maybe that's going on with them, but that's always a possibility of teams looking elsewhere.
When you're recruiting a player of the caliber of Keon, you don't just back out at the end, but more so you say if you have an option B or a backup plan, you recruit both of them, and you try to put yourself in the best position to land both. So that way, if you don't get one, you're still right there for the other. And I think that's the way you go about it. You don't pick one or the other.
Well, that's a good point, but my question for Indiana would be, who's plan B? If I think Keon Brooks is going to end up committing to Indiana, but that doesn't mean anything. He may not. He may go elsewhere. And if he were, who is Indiana's plan B for this situation?
Right, and with Indiana, I don't know if there is per se a plan B. They put a lot of time into this recruitment, and I think this is, Archie's one of those guys that he's really picky on, and how he uses his scholarships, and I think he kind of, in this class especially, he had narrowed it down to the pool of players that he really liked, and I don't think you're going to see him go too far, outside of that. And I think it's kind of right now. It's with this class. It's Keon is the last big player for Indiana in this class, and they're gonna obviously continue to recruit him. But if for some reason they missed on him, I don't expect them to go swinging for somebody. I think they'll potentially could make the scholarship and then save it for future years.
Yeah, and then we've got a lot of injuries that's still on the sideline for Indiana. Of course, obviously Jerome Hunter is not someone we're expecting to see right now this year. Race Thompson is a big question mark, whether or not we're going to get to see him at all. And he's already used his regular red shirt. He would have to apply for a medical hardship to not lose this entire season.
Right, and with Race, obviously, he suffered that concussion. From what I understood, it wasn't a very good situation for him, and hopefully he can kind of make his way back. But with Race, and any NCAA player, you obviously have 5 years to play for, barring an NCAA ruling, and with Race, if he doesn't play anymore this year, I would say that's a very good chance he gets something like that, because, he's played in one game for maybe just less than a handful of minutes, and I'd say he's a very good candidate for one of those. But, it'll just be interesting to see. I think it all comes down to when he's able to come back. But, and also the fact of how much can he help the team when he is ready to come back, and whenever that is. But yeah. I think it's just a wait and see situation, especially with a concussion, because those are something you can't really predict when a guy's going to come back. It's just going to happen whenever it happens, and whenever races, you know better. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, he's obviously received a pretty traumatic brain injury in this accident that occurred on the court in practice. We don't know if we're going to see him this year at all, to be honest with you. And as the season has progressed, it's not looking great since we're already into conference play. We're in January. Hopefully for him, he can get out there. I mean, if not, then hopefully he can get a medical red shirt. But, yeah, he's lost a season and a half so far. Well, not lost, but redshirted a season, and now he's lost a half a season due to injury. So hopefully he can recover and get back out there. But Indiana, it's definitely affecting them. You've got a lot of guys on the sideline. Rob Phinisee obviously making his way back now, and it's at a great time. Indiana playing well. They played well against Maryland. They only turned the ball over 7 times again for back-to-back games. That's huge for them. They hit their free throws. They hit at a high percentage. They just got destroyed underneath on the boards.
Yeah, the offensive glass just absolutely killed Indiana against Maryland. I think Fernando and Smith had something like 9 offensive rebounds or a number like that. And, they just really had their way, and I think a big reason for that was the foul trouble of Justin Smith that killed Indiana. You look at Indiana was plus 21 with him on the floor. And, it really hurt them when he wasn't out there. And he's a big force from the defensive end. And whenever he went out, with foul trouble, it allowed, Jalen Smith to start, really taking over on the offensive boards. And that was a big boost for Maryland. And then, Juwan Morgan, gave everything he had to stay in front of Bruno Fernando. But he was giving up inches, so it was, it was real tough. But Fernando's a really good player. He's really gotten a lot better, but still, it's a lot to ask for. To carry that entire load for Juwan Morgan, and he can only do so much. Offensively, defensively, on the boards. Indiana asked him to do a lot. You look at the rebounding totals, and Juwan was the only player in that game that, for Indiana to grab more than 3 rebounds, and that's obviously not a good sign. And he's going to need some help there in that department, but. I think Indiana's just got to, keep opponents off the boards, and they're right in there with a, good chance to win that game. And, you can't give up 18-second chance, opportunities and expect to win a ball game.
No, they played well throughout most of the ball game in most facets of it, except for that one area. But that one area is what ended up killing them. But tonight they are back in action at home as Nebraska comes calling. Another good, solid Big Ten team. But this is a game that Indiana should be able to come out of here with a win as they continue to get their offense regrouped with Rob Phinisee back in the fold.
Right. And, we're sitting here talking about another tough Big Ten matchup, and I think that's going to be the way it is all year. You look at the conference, and from top to bottom, it's a complete gauntlet. And, Nebraska's a really good team. They got Glenn Watson Jr., and, he's a really nice guard, really good feel for the game. He makes them go, makes them tick, and that's the guy to watch in this one for me. And you look at, the other guys on the team. You got James Palmer, Isaac Copeland, and Isaiah Roby. And then after him, you have, a nice contribution from Thomas Allen, another guard. And then after that 5th player, there's a really big drop-off. And that's kind of been the problem for Nebraska is depth. They're not real deep, and but their top 5 players are a really, really good group, and they have a lot of talent in their top 5 players. And, obviously when things go well and, your guys are healthy, you stay out of foul trouble, you can win like that. But a lot of times when you go on the road, kind of adversity kind of hits you. You need those extra bodies, and I think that could be a big deal in this game. And you look at Indiana, they get Rob Phinisee back, and even though Rob didn't play the best on Friday night, which is expected, it still helps with your guard depth and keeps guys a lot more fresh. And I think that's the big thing as well. And then just having him on the floor, his presence is irreplaceable. And I think this is a game that bodes, I think, Indiana's chances in this game. I would say it's probably a good chance that Indiana wins this game just based on how I think it's going to go.
Yeah, I agree with you on those, and you hit on a key point. You talk about Nebraska not having great depth with mainly being their top 5. That's kind of how Indiana has been developed into here of late, getting zero production from the bench in the last couple of games. They did get 2 points off of 2 late free throws from Finney, but that almost doesn't count because he's normally a starter. But so the only bench points in the last 2 games, 2 points coming from Rob Finney off of 2 free throws. Indiana's got to get more production from the under players, and I know that Archie is frustrated about that. He's looking to get some other guys involved, whether it's Jake Forster coming back from an ankle injury, Demezy Anderson coming in and doing something. Evan Fitzner has really not been putting anything forth, to be honest with you. And so somebody's got to step up for this team to continue to improve and move forward.
Yeah, I think you could see Clifton Moore or a guy like that get some more playing time tonight, or maybe even a Forrester. But you look and Indiana doesn't have Deron Davis, healthy Deron Davis, and that kind of hurts a little bit. But like Archie said, he said that Deron's ankle was pretty bad, and he probably shouldn't have played on Friday. And so it'll be interesting to see if he's able to go tonight. But if not, I expect a Forrester on board to kind of get some extra minutes. And as you said, Evan Fitzner, St. Mary's expected to be that scorer off the bench, and he's really struggled the last 7-8 games or so. He had a great start to the year, and then all of a sudden, defenses, kind of start to make him a little uncomfortable. Not allowing him to have that space once he catches the basketball, and that's been a big deal because he can't even get good looks right now, and I think that's a credit and testament to the defense. But I think part of it is also he's struggled to knock down open looks when he does, get them here lately, and that was something you saw a little bit Friday night, but. It'll be a big if Indiana can get Evan Fitzner going because he gives them that, big man that can stretch the floor, shoot it, give them a little bit of a scoring punch off the bench. But Indiana's just got to get something from their bench because it's hurting them right now. And hopefully, we thought going into the season the bench could be a strong point, but with all the injuries, it's taking a hit in the depth. And hopefully for Indiana's sake, they can get that figured out here in the next couple of weeks because you can't go through a league as tough as the Big Ten and win with consistently no bench play.
Oh, exactly, Drew. I mean, the Maryland game was a game Indiana played more than well enough to win at Maryland. They didn't turn the ball over. They had 7 turnovers for the game, which is second 2 games in a row, which is phenomenal. They were perfect at the free throw line. They shot well from behind the arc. They shot a good percentage. They did everything right except win the game. They just got pounded on the boards. So one facet of the game on the road killed them, where they lose that by 3 points. Other than that, and they're doing this with just their top 5 players for the most part. So Indiana is kind of like a team that you just described about Nebraska a minute ago. Indiana is doing that as well. They just happen to have 2 very good players in the key in that, Romeo Langford and Juwan Morgan.
Right. And Indiana's leaning heavily on Juwan Morgan and Romeo Langford right now. I mean, I don't think over the course of conference play you can expect them to play these 7 minutes night in, night out. I think they'll wear down if you do because it's just such a big workload for both of them. But, Indiana's other question has been finding a third scorer, and it's by committee, obviously, and they haven't really had somebody emerge.
But that committee's not doing a very good job of showing up consistently.
No, and the only reason it's by committee is they're searching. They don't know who it is. And that's never a good situation to be in.
Exactly. I mean, they don't have one. By committee is just saying everybody because there's no one. But certainly that's the case. Drew, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great week and look forward to talking to you at the end of the week. Maybe we'll see what's going on as Indiana has a few games in between there. So thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later and have a good week.
Awesome. Drew Davis from Peegs.com, brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry, serving the families of Southern Indiana Hoosier needs for over 30 years. Let Doctors Jay and Roger Reynolds take care of your family's needs. They take care of Justin because he's going to get in there and make an appointment soon.
Eventually.
Dr. Jay and Roger Reynolds at Reynolds Family Dentistry take care of you in Reynolds and Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry. Thank you very much. We've got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. On the program today, Don Fisher's along with us. We got John Bowl coming up as well. Plenty more to talk about as the Indiana Hoosiers take on Nebraska tonight. They are at home. We'll be back with more right after this.
I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going.
This is Jim Boyle, and I'm out on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Welcome into Indiana Sports Beat, January 14, 2019. Hope you had a great weekend and we can get your week off to a great start. Didn't get as much snow as we anticipated around here, luckily. But a lot to get to, a lot of football over the weekend, NFL in play, a lot of college basketball. But before we get to that, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines for this January 14th, 2019. As Indiana drops their game at Maryland on Friday night, 78-75. They will host Nebraska tonight at 6:30. That game on Fox Sports 1. Decent weekend of NFL football as the championship rounds are set. The Saints host the Rams on the NFC side, while the Chiefs will host the Patriots in the AFC. Indiana women with a big 75-68 win yesterday at Wisconsin. Those are your headlines for this January 14th, 2019.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle sitting here with you. Justin Kalen, High Top, Crew Chiefs Box, as always. As get into what happened over the weekend. If you watch the NFL, the Colts, they're out. Man, hottest team in the NFL was rolling along until they managed to run up against the Chiefs in Kansas City, and they got obliterated. Chiefs are on fire. So it'll be the Chiefs and the Patriots in the AFC, as the Patriots also no trouble in their game. They just cruised. They put up, although... was it 41-28 final score?
Yeah, but it was like 35-7 at half.
Yeah, it was not much of a game there as New England just rolls. Drew Brees and company, they'll be taking on the greatest show on dirt. They don't call it that anymore.
Not anymore, no.
I like to, though. The Los Angeles Rams. Looking forward to those actions of the Colts, man. They took it. Whew. They took a beat down. Other action over the weekend, Indiana, Friday night, in a loss at Maryland by 3. Indiana played a great game statistically. They did about everything right except for rebound the ball, because Maryland seemed to get every rebound that went down on the offensive side. 18-3 was the differential as Maryland wins that game by 3 points. You give up 18 offensive rebounds and you get 3, and you lose by 3. Tough to take. Indiana only with 7 turnovers. They shot, 49% for the game. They shot 40% behind the arc. They were perfect at the free throw line, but only 2 guys getting to the free throw line. There's another issue. But doing a lot of things right. And again, that was a game on the road at Maryland. Could they have won it? Yeah. And that's the difference between Indiana being a top 25 team and being a top 15 to top 10 team. They're not a top 15 or top 10 team right now. Those teams win those games. They're getting there, though. They're getting there. They are improving. That's back-to-back games with only 7 turnovers. Hell, they've only had 14 turnovers in the last 2 games. I think they had more than that the game before.
It's pretty good.
So doing a good job there. It's tough, but that's a game where they did almost everything perfect, except for one thing, and it cost them.
And Archie Miller met with the media after that game the other night. Let's hear his thoughts on that game and exactly what he thought went down.
Congratulations to Maryland. I thought those guys played a really tough game today, especially moving into that second half. Bruno Fernando and Anthony Cowan, thought Eric Ayala played really well. Those guys were fantastic in the second half. And, our team did some good things tonight. We played like a an organized team that was playing smart and obviously really competed. It was as good of a first half as we played. Rebounding the ball, just couldn't get it done on the glass tonight. 18-second shots, that's going to get you beat. When you look at our line, only turned it over 7 times. We made our free throws and we shot a good percentage. We just gave them 18-second shots. That was the difference in the game. They got a lot of threes off second shots. They got a lot of and ones off second shots. And to be honest, I wish we could have done a better job in that area. I think we may have had a better chance to maybe stay in the game. But all in all, our guys played hard, played together for the most part, and we got to pick ourselves up. It's a long year, and it's a tough league, and we have Nebraska on Monday night, so we're going to try and push forward on that.
Yeah, I think that these guys see that even when you do most things right, still not enough. You got to do it all right, which means you have to put forth a complete effort. Not that they're not putting forth effort; they are. Just in this league this year, you have to put forth a complete effort sometimes. A lot of times that effort probably would have got the job done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was against a team that was just rebounding the heck out of the ball. Not having Deron Davis, that hurt. He was obviously noticeably gimpy in there, so no support below. They brought in Evan Fitzner. He didn't do anything, so they've got to get some help down low. They've got injuries to Race Thompson, Jake Forster just now getting back, but I think you're going to see a lot more of Clifton Moore and possibly Jake Forster tonight as Indiana takes on Nebraska at home at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall, a game that you can hear right here. That game starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I believe.
6:30.
Oh, it's a 6:30 game.
Yep. So
the pregame will start at 1 hour before, 5:30 Eastern Time. You can catch that right here. Don Fisher, he'll be with us here in a little bit to talk about that. But it's a game that Indiana can pick themselves back up, and hopefully they can continue what they have been doing and improving. And then now as they've gotten Rob Finney back, hopefully things will continue to move forward. You've gotten some more minutes for Devontae Green at the position of point. Maybe he can help with that. But they've got to keep improving, but they have got to get help off the bench.
Yeah.
The 2 points by Finney, who's actually a starter, became off the bench, is the only points that they've had in the last 2 games from the bench. That's not going to win you any ball games. You're going to win a lot of games because of the talent they have, but you're not going to rise above to that next level without that help. So we'll see if they can get that.
If you would have told me at the beginning of this year that this team would have 2 straight games with no bench points, I probably would have called you the craziest man alive.
I probably would have agreed with you. Not knowing that they were going to lose so many guys. And I think Romeo is providing a little more than most people really expected. He is really thriving in his role as when he gets the ball in his hands, and with good reason. He leads the country. If a stat that I read is correct, he is the top finisher in the country. I think his finish percentage is around.
Yeah, that stat was a little confusing.
Yeah, it was. There was a stat that was listed that it talked about finishing at the rim, which I'm assuming that they're taking the shots attempted, fouls drawn, free throws made. Maybe I'm not. I'm going to guess that that's what they mean by they're encompassing everything. He's finishing around, was it 80%?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
But a very, very high rate. But that's something that we can all see. He's virtually unstoppable. I mean, he's either going to score 80% of the time or draw a foul. And here of late, he's been hitting all of his free throws. So he's a headache that no one has an answer for as of right now.
Here's that stat in case you missed it this weekend. 388 players in Division I have taken at least 50 shots at the basket in half-court settings. And Romeo is number 1 in finishing efficiency at 78%.
Yeah, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah,
and it's a number that and people want to question why. Well, he needs another year. What's he need another year of? What's he need another year of? I mean, yeah, everyone would like to see him stay at college another year. That would be wonderful, but he doesn't need another year of anything. He is very, very good at what he does. There are things that he's going to work on, but he shot the ball well the other night from the outside. I think he hit 3 threes. and obviously perfect at the free throw line. So now you're seeing Romeo come together, the talent that he already has. He can shoot the ball. He's just getting all this stuff put together. Again, I think people forget how much learning there is. He's a freshman. Now he's getting past all the new stuff. He's it's like, all right, I think I got a handle on this now. It's freeing him up to be a looser player, I think.
Yeah.
And 20 second half points Friday night against Maryland on the road. That's a good outing. Very good outing.
Yeah, it's surprising with the first half that they played that he wasn't in on the action a little bit more than he was, but I guess he didn't need to be, and they needed him in the second half, and he stepped up.
Well, exactly, and that's a great point. The fact that they got off to a great start, something their biggest bugaboo so far this year is not getting off to those good starts. Well, they got off to a great one. They had a 14-point lead in the first half, and that Romeo was only scoring 8 points and all that. Yeah. He did his damage in the second half, but he was pretty much alone. That's the problem. There's the issue. I mean, again, no bench points, no help. You got 2 guys going to the free throw line, period, for the whole game. 2 guys. 2 guys shot free throws. 3? I'm sorry. I keep forgetting about Finney's 2 free throws at the end. That doesn't really count. That's at the end of the game. It is. That's mop-up stuff. In the meat of the game, 2 guys for Indiana took free throws. How's that possible?
Shouldn't be.
You're not getting enough guys involved on the inside. How is Justin Smith not driving to the rim? I don't understand how Jerron Morgan cannot draw a foul.
Yeah, that seems unlikely.
How can he not draw a foul working under the basket? But those are things that they're getting together because overall they played a terrific game. I mean, my gosh, they turned the ball over 7 times. They shot 49%. They shot 40% behind the arc. They were 15 of 15 at the free throw line. Not a lot more you can do.
No.
Except for rebound the ball or not let them get 18 offensive rebounds.
Sure. Speaking of Romeo, Tim T texted into the show, said, nice little story on Romeo last night on the journey. Did not know he tried out for the tennis team and was cut. I forgot that was on last night. Pretty upset.
I was watching football, or I was asleep by then. Yeah. I didn't know that either. But
you have to catch it?
I've seen it all year long.
True.
I see it all the time, so no. But, it's Romeo's getting better and better. He's really growing into his role. But where are the other guys coming along? Indiana needs other people to develop along with him. Now, they're not going to develop at the same level because his talent level is so much higher. But you got to develop. Guys got to come along. And again, they played a great game. They're just, I think some things are really, when you play that well, the things that you don't do well, they really are glaring. And the fact that there was no assistance, that's glaring because it's happened 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
And especially a game that you jump out to such a great start and lose by 3.
And I really don't understand it. The whole bench issue is kind of confusing for me. How are guys not ready to come in off the bench and produce for this team? I mean,
we're in January.
Right.
I'd love to know the answer to that question. How are they not ready? We're into conference play.
Right.
They've played 16 games.
I mean,
half the season is gone.
Well, especially when you look at a guy like Zach McRoberts, who the normal folk thought he was going to come in and produce for this team and be a pretty good piece. You were always in the mindset of, he's probably not going to do much. Well, that's been evident the last 2 games. He had 2 rebounds in that game on Friday night. 2 rebounds. That was his only stat other than fouls.
And he's been battling injuries as well with his back and whatnot, but I don't think that has anything to do with his play on the court.
Right.
He's good enough to play on the court. If he's good enough to play out there, he's good enough to do what he's always done. I just don't think that – I think that was kind of a novelty thing last year. I mean, he gives great effort. I'm not knocking Zach McRoberts at all, but he's a walk-on. He's a walk-on for a reason. So let's don't forget that. They've got to get more.
Tim texts in and says, just keep Green off the floor or don't let him shoot.
Well, actually, he didn't shoot the ball that bad the other night, did he?
No, I thought he did okay.
Wasn't he 3 of 5?
Something like that.
A couple of 3-pointers.
it's just when he misses, it's like, well, dude, what are you doing? His bad shots, missed shots, they're bad. He gets out of control. He gets himself into a bad position, out of control, and just kind of throws it towards the rim. I see it's like almost once or twice a game he does that. But he didn't have a single turnover the other night either.
Nope.
So I think it's just when he misses. If you could eliminate the dumb mistakes he makes, I don't know if that's just I don't know if I should call that a dumb mistake, but
careless mistake.
Just not thinking. Just not thinking things through. I think he's going more on talent than functionality.
One more text before we got to get to a break here. Josh texts in and says, does Archie really believe that Fitzner and an injured Davis can provide more than Clifton and Jake?
No, he does not. He's almost practically set. I mean, he gave Fitzner another opportunity, and I think that I think he knows that. I think he talked about seeing more of Jake Forrester tonight, seeing more of Clifton Moore tonight because of that. He's tried to run these guys in there. He's not getting it. He talked about Fitzner not really giving him much. Duran is obviously gimpy. So they've got to do something different, and I think you'll see that tonight. But we've got plenty more to go here on Indiana Sports Beat. Don Fisher's on with us. He'll be on at the end of the second segment. Coming up next, John Bowles with us. Stay tuned. Back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat right after this. This is Jim Boyle when I'm out on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. "811" is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat on this 14th day of January. Hope you are week's off to a great start. Got our good friend John Bull joining us now. Johnny, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Got my sports fix in over the weekend. Watched way too much sports on my butt, so I'm good.
Yeah, a lot of, well, not a lot of NFL, but enough. The good games, at least the NFL. The Colts, one of the hottest teams going, and they got drilled by the Chiefs.
Embarrassing. Just,
terrible.
I was right last weekend, 3 of the 4 games. I was all over the road teams. I didn't have a really good feel this weekend, but I knew that statistically 80-some%, like right around 80% of in the NFL on that second weekend of the home teams that got a bye win. So I knew that going in, and we really got to see that situation flex its muscle, right? I think all 8 of the home teams won, right?
Yeah. Oh, this past weekend, yeah, it was all chalk.
Or all 4.
All 4, chalk.
Of the 8, won.
Yeah, and next week, that's going to be even tighter now. You got the Patriots going to visit the Chiefs, and then the Rams down in having a bowl of gumbo and taking on the Saints down in New Orleans.
Yeah, I thought that I didn't think that Drew Brees would have any trouble with Philly, but they did. If it weren't for Alshon Jeffrey, let the ball go through, Philly probably would have won that game by a point. They were driving. So I don't think that the Saints looked all that good. I thought the Rams looked good, so that might be closer than I thought it would be. And then I think that the Patriots looked like a machine. I watched that whole game, even though it was a blowout. And Patriots, man, I hate watching the Patriots. They run the same plays for like the last 15 years, don't they?
Yeah, because they all work.
The same plays. Plug in whatever little white guy running across the middle and a clear out, 10 yards down the field. Same flares out of the backfield. Same handoff every once in a while.
Same success.
Same quarterback. I thought Belichick was brilliant in that game. Winning the toss and not deferring to the second half, but taking the ball, knowing that game he didn't want to get down early to give him any confidence. So, take the ball and go down and score and set the pace. And I thought that was pretty wise.
Yeah, and they certainly did. I mean, they score on their first 4 possessions, at least?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he didn't even see that coming. First time they've ever done that in the playoffs. But, he did the right thing and setting the pace and getting out ahead, and the rest is history, so that they would never even have a chance. And then, so I think that game sets up great, because Kansas City looked like a machine, too. Yeah. And is there anything better than watching a snow game, though? It's fantastic.
Always fun. It always ends up getting somebody. And then last Friday night, Indiana was up at Maryland on the road, lost there by 3, in which they did everything right except rebound the ball. They only had 7 turnovers in that game. They shot 40% from behind the arc. They were perfect at the free throw line, shot 49% overall for the game, and lost by 3 in a game that they were up 14 in the first half.
Yeah, I watched the second half of that, and then I watched the Badgers Purdue game in overtime. And it just hit me, man, like Maryland's good. All these teams in the Big Ten are good. There's no week off.
No.
And for anybody to play, all these games are good. You can even bring your best effort. I thought even Wisconsin played fairly well considering what they've got, and that wasn't good enough. I will say my big observation that I've had so far in college basketball is I don't think that somebody brought up on Twitter, gave me a candidate for me to rank number 3. But the 2 best players in college basketball, without question to me, number 1 is Marcus Howard for Marquette. And number 2 is that Edwards guy for Purdue.
I knew you were going to say that. You're right. Those are individually, those 2 guys are really standing out on their teams, but I'm wondering their teams are going to, when those guys are held in check, they lose. Marcus Howard, they won a couple big games here recently. He went off, but a game in between, he was held to 8 points, and they get destroyed by 20.
Yeah, but that's really rare. That guy, that's just because he was a little bit off on a shot. Marcus Howard is like Kemba Walker, man.
He's awesome.
He can create a shot every time. Like if he doesn't even want to pass the ball for the entire game, he can get off a good shot every single time down the floor. Same thing with Edwards. And Edwards had 30-some against Wisconsin, and he missed a ton of shots that went in and out. He was just on target whole game. But the main thing I'm talking about is not so much just necessarily making your shots all the time, but getting good shots. Al McGuire used to always say his formula, both coaching and then as a broadcaster, for winning the national championship was you had to have, among other things, you had to have a go-to guy. A guy that there's 2 seconds left on the clock, you got an inbounds play you're going to go to who's going to get you a good shot. And that Purdue and Marquette have that guy. They're going to get a good shot off.
That's no doubt about that. I think that Romeo's becoming that guy for Indiana. May not be a three-point shot he's going to get off, but he's going to get to the rim, and you can't stop him.
Yeah, no, he is. But he's not on the level of Edwards or Marcus Howard yet. And then the suggestion on Twitter that I thought was good was this guy for Murray State.
Ja,
yes.
yes.
His name is Ja. Yeah. He can get a shot off anytime, too. He's just a little guy.
Or he can jump over you. Did you see the highlight? He dunked on the baseline against somebody earlier?
Yeah.
And just jumps over the dude.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
Those guys really stand out to me. I was mesmerized by Edwards in the game against Wisconsin. I've seen him before, and just pretty phenomenal.
Are you disappointed in Wisconsin a little bit? They seem like they're kind of underperforming of what I thought they were going to do this year.
Listen, man, they're just not that good. I mean, they're just not that good. They got. I was thinking today, this weekend, it is always about Ethan Happ, and then this Demetric Trice, one of the leaders in 3-point field goal percentage. Still, he's got like 47% on the season. He was at 60 at one point. He makes them once in a while. Brad Davison's okay, and then they got nothing. So it all revolves around Happ. And every game Happ delivers, 27 and 14 rebounds. But Happ still shooting under 50% from the free throw line. Years later, same thing he was doing his freshman year. You can't win anything when you got a big guy who can't even hit half his free throws. He's going to get fouled down the stretch.
No, that's a little surprising from him too. He's a good player.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen, look for Wisconsin to go into the tank here because they're going to lose Happ this year. And I watched their games, wondering who's going to be the scorer next year. They got nobody. Like, they're going to score 30 points a game next year. The coach is going to get fired. They're going to have to rebuild. So it's going to be woeful after this year. After Wisconsin probably limps into the tournament, maybe. So no, they're overrated. Like a lot of these teams, like IU and Purdue, they just keep reloading with really good players. I don't see that with Wisconsin.
Yeah, Indiana is still trying to land Keon Brooks, a 5-star out of Indiana, waiting for him to make a decision. Archie Miller and Calipari were both in home visiting him this weekend. So Indiana's already got a commitment from Trace Jackson Davis, a 5-star. Now they're waiting on Keon Brooks, who I think is going to end up going to Indiana for certain.
Yeah, that'd be great. I keep looking at the schedules here for any kind of a reprieve, and there's just nothing. There's nothing ahead for IU, for Wisconsin, for Purdue, whatever your team is, man. It's just
Not in the Big Ten. Yeah, not in the Big. Tonight, Indiana welcomes in Nebraska. That's as good as it gets as far as a break. That is not much of a break.
Right.
Nebraska's
no.
I looked in the AP Top 25 last week when right after a couple of the lower Big Ten teams had gotten beaten and they just knocked them out. There were 6 Big Ten teams in a row in the others receiving votes. 6 in a row.
Yeah, no, it's a war. It's as a matter of fact, it's kind of a. I could make an argument looking ahead to the big picture. This is going to be one of those years in the NCAA tournament when like 40 of the 60-some teams can go on a 4-game run and make it to the NCAA tournament, make it to the Final Four. Even like a Louisville, dude. Did you see them this weekend?
Yeah,
they looked. I thought North Carolina was on the brink of unbeatable. That's how great they have looked.
Biggest loss in Roy Williams' career at North Carolina.
Yeah, and it was inexplainable. They just Louisville played them off their heels, and but then again, Louisville could throw in a clunker like that against Pitt. But just there's so many teams out there. The Purdue, Indiana, these teams we're talking about, Wisconsin, some of the mid-range teams in the Big Ten, Michigan State, Louisville, some teams in the SEC. I personally have only seen 2 teams that seem to be on a tier above, and that would be Michigan and Tennessee, with the possible exception of Duke. But again, they almost lost to Florida State. So I think it's going to be a wide open, anybody can get on a 4-game tournament.
Absolutely, but I think somebody's going to have to knock Duke off because when they're rolling, when Zion Williamson he didn't get to play the second half of that game against Florida State, in which they almost lost. He got poked in the eye, and obviously a huge difference with not having him in there. But somebody's going to have to beat them this year in this tournament, which that can happen. I mean, Virginia got beat as a number 1 seed last year for the first time ever by a 16, and of all the number 1 seeds last year, that was not the one I thought could lose to a 16 seed.
No, Virginia's got the history of gagging in the tournament, and you watch now this year. Everybody's going to get off Virginia when they get their bracket, and I think Virginia should have actually added them to that list because Virginia is sound. This is probably the year that when everybody gets off them on their bracket, that they go on a nice run, Final Four, and maybe beyond. But other than that, it is so wide open. Anybody can do anything. Villanova's not bad. I don't know. It's going to be tough to pick, but that's what makes it fun,
Absolutely. And then tonight, Indiana's at home against Nebraska. Like I said, they welcome them in. Nebraska's a team that lost once at home last year to Kansas. Of course, they're on the road at Indiana. But every one of the Indiana's Big Ten games have been close. Win, lose, they've been close either way. And I think that's something that might continue tonight. But I know Archie Miller he's pissed off. He was pissed off after the Michigan loss. You could see in the post-game press conference. He's mad that now he got out. The team got to a 14-point lead in the first half, but they ended up choking that away and giving that up. He's not happy with what's going on with his team right now, and I think you may see some different guys playing tonight against Nebraska.
What's funny is what is the prevailing mindset, the word you're hearing on whether or not Romeo is going to be one and done? Is he going to be one and done?
Absolutely, positively, without question. He is, numbers 5 or 6 on every mock draft board around. Nobody's going to pass that up.
Yeah, so what I think is interesting is how a lot of teams struggle to rebuild in college basketball after they've got some superstars that go. But you don't see that at all from Beeline in Michigan. I mean, they're loaded double barrel.
He doesn't recruit superstars. That's the thing. He doesn't load his team with 5 stars, which in essence is easier to replace because he's replacing successful role players who are good. They're not. Don't think that they're not good players, but he's not going out and getting this 3 5-star class and all this stuff. But he's winning. He went to the national championship game last year, and he looks like he's on his way back.
Yeah, he's got the formula down. I have nothing but great things to say about him. He's doing the right thing up there.
Absolutely. Anything going on in the world of John Bull?
Yes, I have a special report airing. I believe it's going to go Tuesday night on this battle over closing a business. A first-of-its-kind punishment handed down by the city codes and regs here in Louisville with this BP gas station on Broadway. where they have ruled multiple times that they have violated the nuisance ordinance, and they have an order to shut down way back in June.
Wow.
But 7 months later, the place is still open. And so I'm doing a real in-depth piece on what's been going on there since, with a little undercover video. I've been watching what's been going on there. And then we just get to the core of the argument of basically the gas station attorney's argument is, is it really a business's responsibility when criminals come on the lot outside and do things? Or is it the police responsibility? The city has held that it's the business owner's responsibility. They're challenging it in court right now, saying it's the police department's responsibility. You can't put that on us. So we'll have much more on that 7 o'clock on Tuesday night on Wave 3 News.
Look forward to seeing that, John. I appreciate you, brother, every week. Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great weekend.
Yep, excellent weekend, and you guys have a great week. Enjoy football one more Sunday before Super Bowl, and then it is all college basketball.
That's right. Can't wait. John Bowl, thank you, sir. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, bye.
John Bowl joins us, as he does every week. Thank you very much. Brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg, serving the Hoosier family needs for over 30 years. Let Doctors Jay and Roger Reynolds take care of your family's needs. Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. Don Fisher will be along with us today on the program. Look forward to talking to Don about tonight's game. Indiana taking on Nebraska a couple days after a loss on the road to Maryland. See what Indiana can get done at home. See what Archie's going to do with it. I think you're going to see some guys playing tonight. We've been talking about that all day. I think you're going to see Jake Forster. He's coming off of an ankle injury, especially in light of Deron Davis is still struggling with injuries. Man, it's killing him. And I think you're going to see Clifton Moore. Clifton Moore's going to get a shot, I think. He's been used in a couple of games lately because of foul trouble and whatnot. You see him early in a couple of games ago in the first half, but you don't know. I think you may see Demezy Anderson. I think he's waiting for Demezy to step up, for one. But also that position is not a position where they're in such need as they are down low. But we'll talk to Don about that coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Stay tuned. We're right back after this.
This is Jim Foyle, but I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers. You can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural. You must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beats. Thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate it. We're joined now by the iconic voice of Don Fisher of the Indiana Hoosiers. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great. You had a big lull of time off, and now it's really about to get busy for you. Game Friday night, you're back at it tonight on a Monday night. It's a busy time for you guys.
Well, it is. It's actually not been as busy as you would anticipate, but because we've kind of had lulls between these games here in the last couple of weeks. So, but we are getting a ball game coming up 2 days after one that was played on Friday night. So. It starts to get a little busier here in the next week or so.
And even though Indiana was on the road, they lose that game. But, man, they played well. They checked so many boxes of things they hadn't been doing well, including and most importantly getting off to a good start, which they did. They had a 14-point lead in that first half.
Yeah, it was really an impressive start to the ball game, no question about that. And maintaining that was the big struggle. And obviously they were not able to maintain it, especially at the start of the second half, because they actually went into the locker room at halftime with an 8-point lead. Maryland cut into that lead late in the first half and got it down, I think, to maybe 6 at one point. But Indiana got back up to 8, and then. The start of the second half, Juwan Morgan makes an easy basket right at the start. You thought maybe this is going to just continue, and then a 16-0 run by Maryland kind of wiped that thinking process out, and Indiana was playing catch-up the rest of the way. And unfortunately, they just couldn't get it done, and it wasn't because they didn't check the boxes you talked about. They shot free throws perfectly. They were 16 for 16. They got off to the great start, as we mentioned. They did a terrific job, in my estimation, of guarding the three-point line in the second half of the ball game. They did a lot of really good things, but what they didn't do, they didn't keep the ball in front of them when Anthony Cowan had it in his hands, and Bruno Fernando just took over the ball game from a physical standpoint, and Indiana wasn't able to deal with that. Those two things, I think, were the killers in the ball game.
Absolutely, Fernando, and as you mentioned, those guys, they killed Indiana on the offensive boards, 18-3 margin, which ultimately, I guess, would basically be the difference in the game when you lose by 3, and they did so many things so well. Again, 15 of 15 at the stripe, a great night. Only have 2 guys shooting free throws, but the 2 that did knocked them down. But they've got to, I guess they have to understand that you have to give a complete performance every time, because even when you give a 90%, sometimes that's not going to be enough.
Well, you've got to play when you're playing some of the best teams in the league, and let's face it, there are a lot of good teams in this league. you've got to play a complete ball game, as you just pointed out. And, of course, Indiana did not have the kind of performance in the second half. I mean, it was good enough with the exception of one thing. They took some bad shots at critical times. Everybody's good, and so you've got to understand that. You're just not going to play Little Sisters of the Poor in the Big Ten. It's just that's the way it is. And if you don't play up to your capability and you don't make the right decisions, those decisions are going to come back to bite you. And in my opinion, that's what happened in the second half of this ball game. Indiana had opportunity after opportunity, and a bad pass or a mistake, and it wasn't really very many bad passes because, let's face it, they only turned the ball over 7 times. So it was basically decision-making on the shots that they were taking. The one guy that made almost every play in the second half the way you'd like to see it made was Romeo. Langford played tremendous basketball in this game. He shot 20 of his 28 points in the second half. He knocked down 3 of 6 from behind the arc, which, he has not done that on a consistent basis this year. And he got to the rim and drew fouls, as he always seems to do. So his 28 points in the ball game and the 20 that he scored in the second half were about as good as you could possibly ask for. The problem was that Indiana had some decisions made on other things, either who they got the ball to at the time they got the ball to them, or there were some quick shots taken that just weren't, or 4 shots taken that just shouldn't have been taken, especially at critical times. So in my opinion, aside from the rebounding, and let's face it, the rebounding was the biggest issue in this ball game, 42 to 25 in total, and then 18 rebounds, offensive rebounds for Maryland in this game. That really told the story of this contest because second chance points were 9-2 in the game, and second chance points were always caused by getting the offensive rebound.
And, we've talked a lot this year about who the third scorer was going to be. And then bench points, Indiana, second straight game, getting very, very little production off of the bench. 2 points from Rob Phinisee, who's actually a quasi-starter, working his way back into that point. But they're not getting production from the underlings right now, which they could probably use use that a lot.
Well, and let's face it, we still have some injury issues that we're dealing with. And I say we're talking about the Hoosiers now, and of course, Deron Davis played minimal minutes in this ball game. I think 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Obviously, not moving well on that ankle at all. Rob Phinisee's play in this contest, he did get in. He played 17 and a half minutes in the game, but Rob's situation was such that he only practiced 1 day. I mean, literally has practiced 1 day with this basketball team prior to this ball game. He's not going to be in basketball shape again because he just hasn't been able to practice. He's had 3 weeks, essentially, where he did not do anything trying to get rid of this concussion issue that he's dealing with. So he got back into action in this ball game out of shape in the sense of basketball and where he was at physically before the injury took place. And, of course, you're just trying to knock the rust off to get back into the flow of things to try to figure it out. And to go up against a guy like Cowan or the Maryland guards, that's a tough challenge, no question about it. So this team is still trying to find its way through the rubble of the injury problems that they've had all season long. And let's face it, that's been a major issue. It's not an excuse. It's a fact.
Absolutely, and I think that they're relying now on guys, or will be, that weren't expected to be filling these roles. People like Jake Forrester and Clifton Moore are going to have to step up. Where in lieu of having a Race Thompson out there, and in lieu of having Hunter out there, those guys are hurt. Deron hurt, and even Zach's been dealing with his back injury. So These guys were not expected to have to fill these roles, but they're going to have to step up. It looks like.
Well, and you thought that they would probably have a bigger role than they've had thus far, and Archie keeps alluding to the fact that we've got to get those guys in there, but then you get into a game like this where you have to have that experience level and all the things that you want to see from a guy that comes out on the floor in that reserve role, and you just don't see it when these guys get out there, and they just haven't played enough meaningful minutes in ball games thus far. Cliff Moore might be a little bit of an exception, but not much of one. I think he got some really positive minutes in the Penn State ball game. And other than that, everybody else that's come into these ball games has come in at cleanup time. And I know Archie keeps alluding to that, and I think that's the one thing that he's probably going to have to do. He's going to have to bite the bullet and play some of these guys even though it may mean that they don't quite play up to snuff at that point in time, just to get the rust off of them, because those guys have not played in meaningful minutes. Very few of them have.
And they'll get that opportunity tonight as Indiana's at home in the Simon Scott Assembly Hall, and they'll take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, a team that's been in and out of the top 25, so there's no break here either.
No, they're not. In fact, they're one of the more veteran teams in this league. They've got a lot of juniors, or actually a lot of seniors, along with a junior, some sophomores, but mostly upperclassmen in their top 8 players. You're talking about, I think, 6 guys that are either seniors or juniors on this basketball team. So it's going to be a challenge. There's no question about that. Palmer's a terrific player, no doubt. Roby is starting to play his best basketball. He's a junior. He's a big guy inside. They compare with Indiana physically about the same way. So it's a team that Indiana matches up well with from a physical standpoint. The question will be if Indiana can come out, start again as like they did against Maryland, and then maintain that level of play throughout the 40 minutes of play.
Absolutely, and it's a game that Indiana can use to get back on the winning side. Of course, they're going to be challenged every game because mentioned it, I've mentioned it. There are no easy games in the Big Ten this year, period, and it doesn't matter if you're on the road or at home. And Indiana has been winning those close games. Hopefully they can get off to that good start again tonight and then maintain that throughout tonight at home against Nebraska.
Yeah, it'll be a test. There's no question about that. Glenn Watson is playing really well at the point guard position. He's a lot like Collin in that sense. He's capable of knocking down threes. He's also good at getting to the rim. You're going to have to deal with a Copeland player that's a senior, a guy that transferred to Nebraska a couple of years ago and is playing his best basketball. They're going to be a challenge. There's no question about that. And so obviously Indiana's going to have to play very well to win this basketball game. I would like to see them dominate Nebraska in some way, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen against anybody this year, the exception being Michigan and Michigan State. Those two teams are playing tremendous basketball right now, and both are dominating their opponents. They're the only two teams I see able to do that. Everything else in this league, for the most part, has been a really tightly played ball game, and some of the teams we expected to be outstanding have also struggled with their performances. Ohio State being the first example of that. I think they've lost 3 straight now in Big Ten play. So, and Purdue is a team that was struggling for a little while there at the end of conference play, or at the end of non-conference play, and all of a sudden they found their game, and that, of course, is who Indiana plays coming up on Saturday. So it's going to be a challenge every single night. You better be able to come out on the floor and ready to play at your best.
Absolutely. A little earlier tonight, I think the game time tip-off is 6:30. Is that right?
Yeah, it's an oddity, but I think it's the second time this year we've played a ball game in the half hour sometime. We're getting started on the half hour, which is a rarity, but nevertheless, it is what it is.
And so the pregame will be at 5:30 with Don Fisher and crew, correct?
Absolutely.
Look forward to it. Don, thank you so much. We're grateful to have you here each week.
All right, Jim. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, joining us as he does each and every week. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 Clarksville, pizza, burgers, and beer. Look forward to eating there. I'm hungry right now. I could eat some Bubba's. But thanks a lot for joining us here on the program today. Look forward to joining with you tomorrow as well. Chronic Hoosiers along with us tomorrow, as Mike Schumann will be from the Daily Hoosier as well. Look forward to talking to that. And we'll see what happens tonight as Nebraska visits Indiana at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall as Big Ten play continues for those Hoosiers.
72-61 Hoosiers.
That's your prediction?
That's my prediction.
72-60. That's about right. You know what? I like that score. 9 point. What's the spread?
Great question. Let me see if I can't find it real quick.
That's probably a little bit more than what I'd say the spread would
I'd say probably
for.
6, if I had to guess.
Yeah, well, you gave them 9, so that's about right. We'll see how that ends up.
Spread is 2.5
at home. Wow. All right. 2.5 points at home. Holy cow. Well, we'll be back tomorrow with plenty more. Like I said, Chronic Hoosier will be along. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will be joining us tomorrow as well. So for Justin Kalen, this is Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.